All right. We're here this morning because I'm experimenting with the idea of having a Zoom yoga class. So I'm practicing. And the class that I'm going to start with is going to be a restorative class. So to start out with, let's have as many blankets as you can kind of put together, because we're going to make bolsters. If you don't have one, we're going to need it to kind of prop ourselves if we need to support some extra area, and have your blocks, maybe a strap, and we'll see how we do. I think most of these poses are going to be held for 5 minutes so that I can turn on my timer and not have to fumble maybe between poses. So let's see what works. And the first pose, I think we'll start out like we always do in Sukhasana, easy seated pose. So have at least one blanket and sit up on it. We're kind of playing around with my camera too to see what it records and what it doesn't. So to get into our Sukhasana, we're going to gently bring that left leg and get it as parallel as we can to the front edge of the mat. And then we bring that other leg up, and we're looking to have the left foot under the right knee and the right foot kind of under the left knee. That leaves us with this nice open foundation where we're rooting into the ground with the sides of our foot. We've found a secure seat for our sitting bones. We're right on the top edges, that top point of our sitting bones, and we're sitting tall. So first, let's just close our eyes. And without doing anything at all, observe your surroundings, because this is a new place for us to practice. And maybe I'm in my guest room, which is usually the boys, my grandchildren's room when they come over. And so you may see some things that are reminiscent of children here. But I have a fan and I can feel that gentle air just circulating around me. And now let's bring that focus in and we're starting to observe our breath. We're breathing in regular breaths, breathing out regular breaths. No effort, not trying to change those breaths, just observing. Yep, I'm breathing. So now let's follow that breath inside. So can you feel it coming in through your nose? Can you tell when it reaches the back of your throat? What happens as that breath comes down into your chest? Maybe it's still just that regular length that we've had before. And then follow it back out. Does the chest change? Are the shoulders higher or lower? Can you tell if there's a temperature difference as the air exits? And hopefully, let's try to exit back out the nose. So follow that breath, breathing in, breathing out, doing nothing but observing, making just kind of mental notes of what it feels like to breathe. And perhaps one of your observations is that the breath gets longer, that the inhale starts to become longer, and that the exhale is also longer. And perhaps with that lengthening of breath, you notice that you're also a little calmer, a little quieter in your seat. And you've done all of that with just your breath. So bow your head, gently open your eyes from bottom to top, and we're going to start our first pose. And we're going to follow a lot of the same sequence that we do on a lot of our restorative poses. And the first one is going to be mountain brook. And I know my back doesn't like to have too high a lift behind my, right at the bottom tip of my scapula, my shoulder blades. So I'm going to make that just a little bit of a roll. I'm going to put that back there because I know I'm going to want a headrest. And because I have a bolster, I'm going to take that and I'm going to put my lower legs up on it. And then I'm going to ease myself down. Check them. And I'm going to find that bolster and I'm going to bring that bolster so I can feel my the bottom of my shoulder blades pressing against that bolster. And my shoulders are down on the mat. And I'm taking my blanket and creating enough of a headrest that my forehead is a shade higher than my chin. So we will lie here in this wonderful restorative pose, mountain brook, and just let our body flow back and forth with our breath up and down as a mountain brook. So all of these poses have a meditative quality to them. And you can remain peaceful and quiet like you found as you were breathing originally by continuing to follow that breath in and out. In and out. Just observing. And as I breathe in this quiet, safe space, I let any tension, any muscular hold that I might be feeling anywhere in my body, I'm letting that just soften and relax. And as I was observing, I noticed that I was holding my hips and holding my thighs. And now they're not doing anything and they're being supported by the bolster beneath me. So as you're breathing, as you're softening your body, as you're scanning perhaps from head to toe, notice where those tight, tension-filled spaces are. And I just realized that my hands have been tense. So I'm going to let my palms gently open, let my fingers curl naturally toward my palm, but I'm not making them do anything. And now I feel the forearm resting on the ground. And my biceps are not there's no action there. I am noticing a little tension across my collarbone. So I'm going to imagine the next breath I take is going to breathe into that tension that I'm feeling, where my right shoulder and my collarbone rest. So follow your breath, breathing in. Imagine that you are sending that breath to whatever tight spot you're feeling, whatever tension you've noticed. And we've been in this position for about 3 minutes. So if you need to make any adjustments because your body has relaxed, relaxed. Now might be a good time to make this part of our restorative pose even more relaxing. And perhaps you're feeling those legs heavy now against your bolster. It's almost as though they have no weight. They're just lying there, quiet. And all I'm doing, the only thing I have to do is breathe. And so that I can stay in this moment, be aware of everything that's happening, I'm following that breath in through the nose, down into my body, into my chest. And I'm going to lengthen now that inhale. And I want to see if I can get that deep belly breath. So lying here, I inhale, and I allow my diaphragm to expand down into my pelvic cavity. And I can feel my belly lifting as I lengthen and extend that breath. And it's a long breath. So I also want to bring that breath up to my chest. And imagine that my collarbones are wide. And then I exhale all of the tension that breath created back out. Very gently, as I turn off my alarm, find, if you can, enough energy to roll over onto your side. And we're going to be kind to ourselves. We're going to stay here for a moment. And then I'm going to push down with my left and right hands to bring me back up into Sukhasana while we get ready for the next pose. Now, if you have built a bolster, then just set it to the side because we may need it just that way in a few minutes. But right now, I'm going to change the orientation of this bolster. And instead of going across my back, it's now the length of my back. I'm going to bring my headrest up to the end of that. And I'm going to use my blocks because we're going to also just maybe have those feet and legs elevated just a little bit. And I'm just going to put a little blanket over that, make it a little bit more comfortable, bring it back under my knees again, just another way to create a neutral spine. Having your legs lifted just gives you a little bit better chance of not having tension in that low back. Now, I don't think you can see it, but I've got enough space between my hip and this bolster about that I can put my hand there. And that's enough space to allow when I roll back down and place my spine along that long bolster and adjust my headrest. Let your arms just rest on either side of your body on the mat, palm up. And we're going to be here for 5 minutes. So let me start my timer. Maybe as we get a little bit more sophisticated in this Zoom practice, we'll be able to have music. But for right now, we'll enjoy the silence. And you're lying again. Now, if you can, Still have your shoulders blades on your back, kind of lying on each side of your spine, but allow your shoulders to reach toward the ground, to open that collarbone. So maybe your arm, I think it will naturally rotate outward so that your hands just normally, as a result of the way that that shoulder is placing itself, they're able to just lie by your side. Your legs still fall open, soft and supported by either just the ground or another small bolster. And your head, as before, has the forehead slightly higher than your chin. And find that same relaxation that you had after that last pose. See if you can come back to that place. And as you get a little deeper into that meditation, you may still be following that breath in and out because it's easy and it's quietening and it's calm. Or you might choose to repeat a mantra. So on the inhale, hum on the exhale. I am. So hum. Or maybe you have a mantra of your own that you found helpful and relaxing and restful. And this is a good time to just scan your body again and see if you notice any of those tight places. Anywhere where you feel a muscle gripping. Anywhere that just still a little bit uncomfortable. We know that our breath doesn't do anything but go into the lungs and then gives its oxygen to the blood and then takes carbon dioxide back out. But in our mind's eye, we've discovered that it's very helpful to imagine that that breath goes to that place where you're finding discomfort or pain. And you're still breathing normal breaths. You're just imagining that healing power that the breath has is being directed to that place where you need it to go. Breathing in and breathing out. Nothing to do, nowhere to be. Taking your time, finding your quiet place. And I'm going to let my voice just soften and quieten. I'm here still if you need the support of knowing that there's somebody here and that you're doing your yoga pose just right for you today. Breathing in, breathing out. And we've come to the end of another pose. So with that same care that you had before, Gently roll over to your side and ease yourself up. You're working hard to relax. So no sense in jolting muscles back into a hard, tense place. And this time, let's clear these two blankets from our mat. Let's bring our bolster back. We're going to, instead of using it under our legs like we did at first, we're taking this bigger bolster and we're putting it toward the head of our mat. We still have that hands distance between that bolster and our hips. And we're still going to need probably our headrest up on the top of the bolster. But this time, we're going to take our blanket and use that to help us keep our support for our thighs. All right, so first you have to bring your feet together, sole to sole. And we don't always use a strap in our poses because lots of people don't like that feeling of being tied up, don't really find it soothing. Almost for some people, there's an anxiety that comes with it. So I don't want you to ever have that feeling in my class. But it doesn't bother me. So one way to get these feet just a little closer is to have that strap. So I just put it down over my head after I had it buckled with my D-buckle, and I want to have the end, I want to have it up, and I want to have it kind of close to where I can lie down and make it tighter or looser if I need to. So then I take this strap and I just put it under my feet. I just wrap it under my feet. And now I can pull my feet a little bit closer to my groin without having to hold them. What you want to do is make sure that that buckle isn't on your skin or isn't in a place where it would rub or irritate. Now, the reason for the blanket, if you don't want to use the strap, then you can take that and just wrap that big long blanket up under, and it will support your legs while your feet are together. It kind of cozies them close to one another, sole to sole, but it doesn't require you to pull your feet more closely to your groin than is comfortable or as you want to. The trick on the strap is that it's as low on your back as you can get it. And then we're going to lay back, and I'm going to lift my hips and move so that I'm on the back side of those sitting bones. And I'm lying back along the bolster. I have my headrest. I adjust whatever I need to so that my legs can benefit from gravity. So I want gravity to pull and open this muscle from my inside groin out to my knee, but I don't want to have my glutes or that outside adductor median muscle pulling back. I just want that to be soft. So we're supporting our legs and we're lying back, opening our hips just a little bit by And where did my clock go? There we are. And we're going to be here for 5 minutes. And I'm hoping that this will be a beautifully comfortable position for you. You're sitting up a little higher on a higher stack of blankets or a bolster. Your shoulder and collarbone can still open up. This time, perhaps you have less arm on the blanket, maybe just the forearm, but let your fingers just curl naturally into your palm. And find that pose within where your bolster and your hip meet, so that you've got support, but you aren't tense. You can let those glutes relax. Let your legs be heavy. Let gravity pull your legs toward the ground, but not all the way to the place where you're overextending. And now again, let's this time put one hand on our belly and one hand on our chest. And just for a little while, not the entire pose, observe your breath with how your hands rise and fall. And notice what rises first and what falls first. No right or wrong. But if you're actually allowing that diaphragm to open up, to pull down, to let those lungs inflate, you may notice that your belly comes up first. And then as you fill your chest, your hands perhaps lifting. And then on that exhale, you may find that wave in the opposite direction, where your chest lowers and then your belly. And then take your hands away and just recognize that that's one of the breath patterns. That's probably the one that we were born with and we used as a tiny baby before we learned how to breathe any different way. So find your deep breath here, where you can inhale a little longer, exhale a little longer. And maybe you take just a note at the top of the inhale that there's a difference between inhaling and exhaling. That sounds really kind of elementary, but it's nice to make those small observations too. Breathing in, breathing out. Rest your head, rest your neck. Let that trapezius muscle that rolls from shoulder to shoulder across your back, let that soften. That muscle tries to work way too hard. There are other muscles that could help it. So let that strong muscle relax. And maybe you can notice that without that muscle up, kind of pulling your shoulders toward your ears, there's more of a freedom in the neck. Breathing in and breathing out. Repeating your mantra, or maybe not. scanning your body, or maybe not. And again, we've been here for 5 minutes. If by some chance you decided to use your strap and see what it felt like to strap your feet just a little closer to your groin, then work with that D-buckle enough that you can loosen that strap enough that you can take your feet, maybe one by one, out of that strap and bring your legs together, nice and long. And give your legs, let's just lie here for a moment and feel the difference between those bent legs and now our nice long legs. And let those toes just flop to either side, a nice neutral leg. It's neither rotating in at the hip nor rotating out. It is doing what it likes. Okay, now we're going to roll gently one more time over to our side. Careful as we come off that tall bolster and sit back up. If you have your straps, or excuse me, your blocks, let's grab them. Your legs can do anything you want to in this pose, and I'm going to choose to leave mine nice and long. And I'm going to use my blocks and and this is going to create even a little higher restorative pose. So one of these blocks up here is going to be for my head, and the other block at this level is going to rest about that space in between my shoulder blades, where this end of the block, the bottom end, is going to be about the same place that that first bolster we had was. And so it's going to be back a little far. Can you see? Tried to, and then this is going to just sit this way. And I'm going to try to put it in that space between my ponytail, and you can kind of feel where your skull comes down and your neck joins. I'm going to see if I can rest that block on that part of my head. I'm going to bring this block right about there on my back. So let's settle in. I'm using my elbows to support me while I'm kind of positioning that first block. And now I'm going to allow my head to rest on this higher block. And sometimes you need to kind of get that block where it fits as you bend, as you're doing what would really be just a back bend of sorts. And then my palms are face up again because my shoulders want to roll out. This is to, all of these poses kind of counteract the way we hunch over our phones and our pads, our tablets. And we're going to be here for 5. Let's take this one. Hang on just a second. I think we're going to just do this one 4 minutes because we're up here kind of high. So It's hard to believe that you can be this comfortable when you're lying on nothing but blocks. So take those breaths in and out. Feel that chest rise and fall. Find those legs relaxed, neutral positions, supported totally by the mat and the floor beneath you. Breathing in, breathing out. Know where to be, nothing to do. And by now, you may have had lots of little thoughts coming in saying, the laundry needs to be done, got to do this, got to do that. Just accept that the mind likes to have you busy with something. And then put those thoughts to the side to bring back up after this restorative gift to you. Breathing in, breathing out. And it doesn't take an hour-long restorative class to bring relief to the tensions and the stresses that we have in our day, every day. That's when those deep breaths and that quiet moment caught, either before you know that you have to deal with something or you have just dealt with something and you need to restore. Your breath is a really remarkable tool for helping you to calm and quiet, even in the most stressful situations. It's not a guarantee that all the stress will go away, but it's a tool you have to help manage the tension, the stress, the disappointment, whatever that angst may be. Sounds like my dog needs some stress relief. Apparently he thinks there's a yard man outside trying to invade his house. Breathing in, breathing out. Resting and quietening the mind. And gently to come out of this pose. Press down into your elbows and your hands and arms to come back up head last. I'm feeling pretty much like a marshmallow. So let's move those off to the side. And now we're going to take a restorative shavasana. So a restorative shavasana is one where everything's just kind of padded. So make sure that you have your headrest. If your arms are away from your body a little further and you have nothing but cold floor for them to rest on, then let's give them a little bit of cushion and warmth. And it's always a gift when we raise our legs just a little bit. I haven't in this room quite yet found where I want to do my legs up the wall. If you have a place and that's what you want to do, then don't hesitate to let that be your restorative final Shavasana pose. And a little headrest works good. So find your way to reach and stretch out the full length of your body. So maybe first we bring our feet together and we press through our heels and we glance down at our toes and notice that we're all in alignment. And then just find that neutral spine, that place where you have a low lumbar curve. Your thoracic curve is your chest. Your cervical curve is at your neck. So support that cervical curve just a little bit with that headrest that you've got. Bring that down to touch your shoulders. Let your arms just rest on those extra blankets that you might have put down so they're not on either mat or hard ground. And let's all take a nice, big, long, deep inhale. And then sigh that exhale out. And with that sigh, we began our final pose of this restorative sequence. Breathing in, breathing out, letting the benefits of all of the poses that we've done to now be integrated into our body's memory, into that kinetic muscle memory. Find the softness one more time. That place where you are using no muscular power, energy, or movement other than breathing. And this is just a regular breath. Nothing special. Just quiet and soothing. And you can stay in this pose as long as you want, as long as you need. And I'm going to quietly roll over to my side. I'm going to get up. I got up slowly. And I'm going to end this session. But this doesn't have to be the end of your session. There we go. Lost my mouse. Thank you for joining me. Namaste.